Now, as Zachy said, we are here at the opening session to talk about the future of transportation. Easy, simple, right? We're going to talk about connected vehicles, self-driving vehicles, and what we're going to try to do today and in the next session is to think about what does that mean to us in our part of the transportation industry. I think that we are very privileged to live in a time of disruptive change. I mean, you look at some of the big trends that we're seeing. We're seeing the revolution of the vehicle with the technologies that are now available on the vehicle and where that's going. At the same time, we're seeing the revolution and the explosion of smartphones. Smartphones and tablets. I've heard some people call a PC the PC-osaurus. And equally important to the revolution of smartphones is what's going on inside the phone with the apps and the explosion of that whole ecosystem that's talked about around the smartphone. And then all of that generates data. I've seen estimates on a self-driving car. Richard, I've seen estimates as much as a terabyte an hour to 1 gigabyte a second of data being generated, and then the data that comes off of the phones and all the location-based services that we get from that. And what we're seeing is that all of those trends are converging to change the way transportation works and the way we and all other travelers experience transportation. It is an amazing time. Let me just show you a few little bullet points here. By 2015, network devices will be twice the global population. GM just announced that they're going to start installing 4G LTE on all new 2015 vehicles. They're projected that that's going to increase the revenue for OnStar in 2016 by $400 million. This is big business, and this is why it's moving so quickly. Here's why it's big business. Ford Sync My Ford Touch was sold on 79% of 2013 vehicles, and that market share is just growing. GM and Ford this year opened their dashboards, their APIs, to app developers. Ford had 1,000 app developers register in the first 3 days that the website was open. Google, we've all heard about Google. Google says the self-driving car is going to be here in 5 years. We're just going to tell us more about that. And to the point about data, if there's any question of the value of data, you can see it in the marketplace. Google just purchased Waze for more than $1 billion. Who has Waze on their machine? Okay, if you don't have Waze on your machine, even if you don't use the app, you ought to install it and see what it does. And then ask yourself, if they have more data than you have. Now, while all of that is going on, there's another trend that's important to all of us, and that's what's going on in our transportation world. There's a shortfall of transportation funding. There's expected to be an $80 billion shortfall between what is needed to just maintain current funding levels today and what the Triway Trust Fund at the federal level will generate over the next 6 years. That dilemma has led many states to take initiative, and that's great, and we have a representative from one of those states here today. Many states you're seeing pass gas tax, sales tax, look at public-private partnerships, look at bonding initiatives, state infrastructure baits, tolling, and Oregon is testing out a vehicle's miles traveled fee. That's an exciting time for us. How does all this come together, and what does it mean for us about the future of transportation? It is such a pleasure for me to be here with this group of my colleagues. I am so honored, and I feel like I've done something right in my career, that I can stand here and introduce these people to you and call them my colleagues and my friends. It is truly a pleasure. I'm going to introduce all 4 of them to you and then tell you a little bit about how we're going to run the session.